Joe and his supposed arch-enemy would become close friends. Despite these two, 20th century America would continue to kick against the truth of racial equality. There would be many setbacks, and yet sports arenas would continue to be packed with the people of a diverse nation who wanted to see blacks and whites compete with and against one another, and to watch unfold what is surely the greatest sports drama in history. Black Americans were determined to prove themselves against all the odds on this, the hard road to glory.
It's been a hard road to glory.
This ballpark represents part of a quiet revolution. This is Comiskey Park in Chicago, the home of the White Sox. It's the oldest, proudest ballpark in the nation, and it's seen more than its share of history. The revolution in Chicago occurred in the first half of the 20th century, as this city grew into the country's foremost hub of black athletic activity. Here, more than anywhere else, black athletes found the tools to compete on an equal footing with white athletes. It was right here that Joe Louis won the world's heavyweight boxing championship in 1937.
If Jack Johnson was a hunter, Joe Louis was a soldier. Like a soldier under fire, he stood against an opponent, fearless and determined. Joe Louis Barrow started boxing at age 17, using the money his mother gave him for violin lessons. Like Jesse Owens, Joe Louis was born the son of a poor Alabama sharecropper. He carried with him the memories of a childhood spent in the slums of Detroit, where he often stood in soup lines with his mother and sisters. Joe fought for their lives. At age 20, he turned professional, moved to Chicago, and began piling up an incredible string of victories. For 2 years, with a fight a month, he was undefeated. Then in June of 1936, the summer that Jesse Owens ran down Hitler's master race, Joe Louis was matched in one of the most important fights of his career, against the German, Max Schmeling. Joe had fought against fascism before in a representative way. In 1935, he defeated Primo Canara, an Italian, at the time Mussolini's Italy invaded Ethiopia. It was a mismatch. Louis expected the same of his bout with Schmeling, a 10-to-1 underdog against the black American. It was Joe's downfall. The soldier's training regimen lacked vigor. He refused to believe he needed to work hard for Schmeling. After the first round, Joe's field generals told him to keep jabbing and not try a left hook for 3 or 4 rounds. For the first and last time, the soldier disobeyed. Schmeling's right hand ended Joe's winning streak. His lesson learned, Joe went on to win his next 11 fights, 10 by early knockouts, and earned the right to face the champion, James J. Braddock, in Comiskey Park. On June 22, 1937, Joe followed orders to the letter. It took 8 rounds. The soldier was the second black man in history to lay claim to the coveted title. Afterwards, the new heavyweight champion of the world had one thing to say to reporters: bring on Max Schmeling. The crowds that came out to congratulate Joe as he left the stadium had another boxer in mind. We got another chance, they called as they offered congratulations. Don't be another Jack Johnson. Joe wasn't. The soldier was careful, respectful, and respected. The first black athlete to be a hero for American children of all races. But the Nazis wanted Schmeling to wear the champion's belt. Germany was tearing up Europe, and word was spreading about Nazi atrocities. It was 1938, and the eyes of the world were once again focused on the black American who would test his athletic skills in a battle with great historic significance. As was the case with Jesse Owens and Lutz Long the year before, there was calm in the eye of the storm. Max Schmeling and Joe Louis had a mutual respect that grew into a lasting friendship. However, both men wanted very badly to win. The championship of the world was on the line, and with it, the national prestige so important to the psychology of war. In a move out of character for him, Joe Louis predicted a first-round knockout, and his generals let him go after it from the opening bell. It was all over in 2 minutes and 4 seconds. the only man who had ever beaten Joe Louis Barrow in a professional fight, couldn't make it to the first bell in a rematch. There were victory parties in black neighborhoods all over the country. Police had to move in Harlem and in Cleveland, but these were a far cry from the riots that accompanied Jack Johnson's victories over a white man 28 years earlier.
Joe Louis, in a real sense, his victory said, all of us can be champion. He was the only guy that could legally fight white symbolism within the law and win. It took on emotional overtones and political overtones and psychological overtones, and yet he handled his power with a certain degree of grace and innocence, which was a factor in his penetrating the psychology of the rest of the nation.
Joe Louis helped the cause of America in World War II. He helped Americans believe in themselves and in the rightness of racial equality. Always the good soldier, Joe enlisted in the Army in 1942. In his later years, which were marred by debts and even some drug problems, he came to doubt that he'd done much for American race relations. He came to doubt that America was living up to its promises. But Joe Louis always believed that anything is possible for those who are willing to fight hard and to fight fair. Joe's service to his country was above and beyond the call of duty. Along with Jesse Owens, Joe remained one of Black America's two greatest sports heroes until 1947 and the appearance of a third, a man who would take on himself the destiny of those traveling the hard road.
When Jackie Robinson hit the big leagues changed. There was a new color, yes, but there was also a new style. With blacks came base running like the majors had never seen, speed and quickness, gamble and risk, a wide-open assault on the conservative patterns of the all-white baseball kingdom. Baseball would never be the same. The Jackie Robinson era came to fruition under the boughs of Branch Rickey. Rickey found a tough young ball player named Jackie Robinson, and he sensed the time was right to integrate the Brooklyn Dodgers and with them all of baseball. He launched what was to become known as his Noble Experiment. For 2 years, on the field and off, Jackie acted as though the racial slurs leveled at him and his family didn't bother him. For 2 long seasons, Jackie was the picture of martyrdom. But it was not in the fiery and spirited nature of Robinson to humbly accept injustice. Jackie changed the world.
In the late 40s and early 50s, with Jackie Robinson leading the way, the National Football and Basketball Leagues opened up. Though there would be new glories for black athletes, there would be new struggles as well. Admittance did not mean equality. Getting qualified blacks into decision-making management positions has proved making